Another day, another visit to New York JFK, where today we're flying transatlantic on Delta One en route to London Heathrow. Delta flies out of JFK's Terminal 4, and if you're in the Delta One cabin, you get to use the Sky Priority check-in queue to complete your formalities. I had a few hours to kill before the flight, and I spent that time in the American Express Centurion Lounge sipping cocktails at the secret speakeasy. And as I prepared to board my first ever flight in Delta business class, I was curious to see how this experience on an American airline would compare to some other airlines I had flown recently. Let's just say I didn't have high expectations. Making my way into the Delta One cabin, I found myself in seat 7C for the evening. It was a middle seat, although I had a fairly robust privacy divider to my companion. Now, I would have loved to snag a window seat instead, but such is the nature of flying these days that flights tend to be full, and only a middle seat was available for me. Ready for takeoff on Delta One. Before takeoff though, let's sneak in a quick tour of the Delta One seat, which I found to be a pretty snug space overall. There isn't a lot of distance to the entertainment screen in front of you, nor is there too much space for your feet in the footwell. The literature pocket is found down by your knees, and then by your side there's an ergonomically designed seat console featuring an accent light, a pair of headphones, and the seat controls and power outlets. A further set of seat controls and a vanity mirror are found underneath the flap here, and the tray table pops out diagonally and folds over into place. The seat also came pre-equipped with some amenities such as this cozy blanket, which I didn't even have the chance to unpack as I dozed off during the takeoff sequence. Delta One's amenity kit is made by someone somewhere, and even though it was fairly light in its contents, I did think the design was quite nice, and I appreciated the skincare items by Grown Alchemist. There was also a set of slippers provided and a dedicated hidden compartment to put your shoes, which I found to be a thoughtful touch. Now, since this is a quick overnight flight, it's going to be all about the meal service and then going straight to bed. Indeed, on these quick overnight flights, just about the only thing that matters is the meal service. And that's where I was looking for Delta One to really prove itself as I flipped through the paper menu and the more fulsome digital version online. Now, I suppose that I had low expectations coming into this flight. It is a US airline after all here on Delta One, so I didn't expect to be too blown away by the business class experience, but given those low expectations, I am quite impressed by what I've seen so far. Those good impressions certainly continued with the commencement of the meal service, as I was treated to a very generous pour of the red wine for the evening. I was then served my appetizer of a roasted tomato soup, which was poured out of a metal tumbler right in front of me. Again, it tasted pretty good, especially for a US airline. Now, so far, in terms of the attention to detail here on Delta One, I've been really impressed. I mean, take a look at this. There's specialty butter. It's called Banner Butter. Most importantly though, let's find out how it tastes. But next would be the real test for Delta One, the main course for which I had ordered the braised beef. I've got to say, the taste of the dish has really exceeded my expectations. I'm really enjoying this braised beef. And to wrap up the meal, a classic ice cream sundae. I gotta say, this was a huge portion of ice cream, although it is an American airline after all. Now we're here on Delta's Boeing 767-400, which is some of the older planes out there. So the toilets in business class are pretty small. There's not many amenities to speak of, although there's at least extensive usage of mirrors to make the space look larger. After freshening up in the bathroom, I came back to my seat and got ready for bed. There was only about 4 hours of the flight left, so I was eager to get some rest as soon as possible. And as I laid down, I found the footwell to be neither too narrow nor too wide. Now, I gotta say guys, it's been a super chill flight so far. I wasn't really expecting to enjoy Delta One this much. I thought of it as, you know, a US carrier. It's hard to get excited about it. But so far, I've really been enjoying this flight. I've really had a good time. Now let's see how good of a rest I can get for the next 3 hours or so, because I do want to wake up and do breakfast before we land in London. The cabin lights are dimmed, I've got my bed ready, I'll see you when I wake up. After I slept for what felt like a second, I woke up to the breakfast being served. A pretty uninspiring dish of oatmeal along with a croissant on the side. Maybe it was because I didn't manage to get any good sleep for only 3 hours, but I didn't find all too much enjoyment in the breakfast service compared to the earlier meal. And just like that, this very quick overnight flight was coming to an end as we circled around near Heathrow Airport and prepared for our descent. I do think Delta One was a fairly pleasant way to cross the Atlantic, certainly surpassing my expectations for a US carrier, although I can't say I'm in a hurry to fly it again. Instead, I probably still prefer one of Delta's SkyTeam partners, Air France or KLM, and you can check out the videos on screen right now to see what the experience with those airlines are like as you fly across the Atlantic.